Today on Homeworthy, we're stepping into the world of moody homes, where rich tones, layered textures, and atmospheric lighting come together to create spaces that feel both dramatic and deeply personal. Join us as we explore a beautifully transformed Michigan home with a library feel. Then, we'll look inside an unapologetically maximalist apartment in Queens, draped in jewel tones, before exploring a Toronto condo where a moody black palette creates a dramatic backdrop for exquisite art. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Haneen. Welcome to our home in Michigan. Let me show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Haneen Matt, and we are in Canton, Michigan. Our home was built in 2000. It's definitely a 2000 built cookie cutter kind of home and neighborhood. And we moved in 2009. So we've been here for almost 15 years, and we've spent almost 15 years trying to make it less cookie cutter and a little bit more like us. My design style is always a little tricky to answer because I like too much, but I really just love a good juxtaposition. So I may love modern things, but I also love old stuff and bringing in pieces with history that tell a story. I like a space to feel curated over time. I love things that are rustic and more primitive, but I also love things that are a little more glam and maybe have a little bit of a sheen. I love color. I'm not afraid of mixing patterns. I love moody. I love things that feel like a warm hug. I kind of feel like after the pandemic, I was very much more drawn to earth tones and things that felt cozy since we were in our home quite a bit. So there's a lot of dark, moody colors around here, a lot of floral mixed with plaid, and every room has something vintage in it, and I love using old books. I always kind of wanted our home to feel a little bit like a fairy tale story, but not in a fussy, feminine way, just in like a storybook way. I love to read and I love books, so that's kind of mixed throughout the house, you'll see. Welcome into our entryway. One thing about this space is people are always asking what the wall color is, and it's actually not paint. It's a faux suede wallpaper. It feels really soft to touch, and it's so beautiful. It's just really like rich and chocolatey. This is vintage, and it's all a matter of highs and lows, I feel like. So this wallpaper is a bit pricey, but this is a Target lamp, so it's a good balance. And then up here on the wall going up the stairs, these are all but one is thrifted. The one with the birds is from Home Goods. Every now and then you can find a good Home Goods find. The floors are engineered hardwood, and I liked the warm color. It's like dark but not too dark, so you don't see every little thing. But you know, light wood is very in right now, and it's so beautiful, and every now and then I'm tempted to go in that direction, but I have to remind myself that's a little more coastal, and my house is not coastal. We're in Michigan, and the whole vibe of the house is very like moody library, so this is the way to go, dark floors. Like I was saying before, I love a good mix, and I love that the edges of this table are a little worn and distressed, but then I paired it with this little brass dog that kind of reminds me of our dog, and the little brass lamp. So it's a good mix of rustic and also something that has a little bit of a sheen to it. That is a light from the line of Brian Patrick Flynn, who's a friend of mine. This is his lighting line, and I just loved how big it is. It looks awesome at night from the street. There's a little hallway to the powder room over here, and I just wanted to point out it's a little tight, but I will say I never have claimed to be a minimalist, and I tend to just stuff my house with things that make me happy. So this table is so beautiful, and this lady here, I found her at an antique fair last summer, and she has a scarf over her head. She reminded me of a siti, which is the Arabic word for grandma, and I do have relatives who wear, you know, a hijab like this, so it made me happy. It kind of cracks me up because you could see her name is Olga, so I know she's not an Arab lady, but I like to think that she is. So that's about it for this little nook. So this right here is a little gem of a powder room. This was inspired by just all the little boutique hotels that we've visited in our travels. I kind of wanted it to feel like a bathroom that you would see in a hotel or in a really fancy restaurant. I custom did this paint color. It's like a mix of two different blues. I did it in high gloss because I wanted it super dramatic. There's portraits all throughout the bathroom, and some people think it's weird. I think it's hilarious. This is Janet Hill art. They're all super fancy. I love the clothes that they're wearing. This guy reminds me of Jude Law. And this wallpaper, it just kind of had Parisian vibes. And I went on a trip to Paris in college, and I don't know, I just kind of felt like all of these people are going to a fancy party in one of these buildings. I like to put stories to each of my rooms sometimes. So again, it's all about mixing patterns. So I really love, there's a floral Roman shade with this kind of architectural wallpaper, and I thought that that was really cool. I love this more traditional faucet with the modern light and the egg-shaped mirror. It's pretty cool in here. My favorite thing about our home is that it tells our story. There's little bits in each room that mean something to us. Not just a photograph, it could be a photograph, or it could be like in this cabinet behind me, there's rocks in a bowl from my childhood backyard, or records that I stole from my in-laws, or, you know, things that we've picked up in our travels. Travel greatly influences what I do, and I just love thinking of really special memories when being in my home. So I think the best thing about our house is that it feels like ours. I'm gonna show you to our living room, so you can come this way. Welcome into our formal living room. This is one of my favorite places in the whole house because it really has a lot of our treasures in here. First of all, again, with the books, this is an old antique set that I found, and I just thought it would look really cool under this cloche. This wall treatment, I believe these arches are meant to go, they're prefabricated. I just got them from Home Depot, and I believe they're supposed to go over doorways or over windows, and we did this over the pandemic. This was like our I'm bored project, so my husband helped me to install this. I just wanted something unique, so we did this and we painted the whole room black, and I'm able to get away with it because this is the brightest room in the house. It has so much sunlight. More recently, we added these beams that I stained that's darker wood color to match the floors. And then this is what I like to call our Harry Potter light. So many people say it's Harry Potter vibes, and that brings me so much joy because I love Harry Potter. It's just very cozy in here. This cabinet is filled with so many treasures. As far as making your home your own, this is what I'm talking about. There's some things in here that just make me happy. This little bowl is filled with rocks from our childhood backyard. These are records from my in-laws. This car, you may very well think it's meant for like a child's room, but when I saw it, I kind of thought it was like an ode to my husband's automotive career. He's worked in the automotive industry for over 25 years. So I just liked that it was wood. I liked the look of it, and I liked that it had a little meaning to it as well. These are some of my kids. in the office where we have the book covers on the ceiling, a lot of people were mad when I tore out the pages, but nothing got thrown away. I actually used them throughout the house decoratively as like a backdrop in some cabinets. So these are all of the interior pages to those book covers. This is a poetry book from a class I took in college. And my husband, when we were dating, he wrote me a little note on one of the pages. I went to the University of Toledo, and one of my art history professors actually published this little book. And I'm in the acknowledgments because he kind of gave credit to people that were in the class because we did a lot of research for him for this book. So this is just a little keepsake. This is a vintage trunk. As far as all of this pottery goes, I just want to say that when you have a collection of things, it could look very cluttered if it's spread out throughout the house or throughout a room. But if you put them together like this, I think it makes a much better statement. And it's just so beautiful and collected all up there. Everyone loves the pottery up there. As far as this goes, again, with the book backdrop, this little guy, I found him from an online antique dealer, and I thought it was really cool, and then it arrived, and I kind of thought it looked a little spooky. Kind of reminds me of like Halloween time. I feel like I should use it for Halloween decor, probably because it's the color of skin, so it looks like a real hand, but that's okay. I don't mind creepy. I think it kind of, I think every home should have a little bit of a sense of humor, so I'm okay with creepy now and then. This is my husband and I in Napa. This is a vintage chess set. This painting back here is actually this room, and a follower actually painted that for me and sent it to me, which I thought was amazing. Very cool. This I just got recently. This is, I did some research, and apparently it's a old carriage lamp, which I find fascinating. I love equestrian stuff. I love, horses, and if this was from a horse-drawn carriage, I would just be thrilled. I don't know 100%, but you can see on the back where it's screwed on. I don't know if it's to a vehicle or to an actual carriage, but anyway, it does actually light up and plug in, but I didn't want to deal with the cord at this time, so I actually just have candles lit inside. I just think it's so beautiful, and it looks really good against the black walls. This is a lectern. I believe it's meant maybe for music sheets. I like using things in unconventional ways, and I also really love displaying books in all sorts of ways. So I just basically opened up this book to a page I thought was beautiful, and now it's on display. This is a William Morris plaid. These are custom-made drapes. I thought the color was gorgeous. And these are actually new chairs. These are from McGee & Co. And I just thought the arm was so beautiful. It has such a beautiful silhouette, a gorgeous profile when you look into the room, and that's the shape of the chair that you see. We have yet another bust in the house. My kids may laugh at me because it's a lot of just weird people. But again, it reminds me of a museum, and that makes me happy. And I feel like it's all about balance. So this may seem fussy, but I have it on this rustic table that I've had for years. And it's also, like I said, all about high and low. This is actually a really inexpensive find. I found him for under 50 bucks. But this coffee table book is so beautiful, and it's like 4 times the cost of this guy. But so worth it. It's a book about libraries around the world. And I just love when we travel. I love to find bookstores to go to or libraries to visit. And I had just read The Personal Librarian. And in September, I was in New York City for an event with Better Homes and Gardens. So I visited the library that book was about, and that's in this coffee table book. So that makes me happy. This is a Jake Arnold rug from Lulu in Georgia. It's one of the most comfortable rugs in the house. I love the copper color of it. And then this little gallery wall, again, I'm not a minimalist, and I love taking advantage of small nooks and crannies in the house, and that includes skinny walls. And it also means not necessarily hanging art at eye level. I thought I would take the chance and just fill this from Florida, pretty much ceiling. This I found in an estate sale. This is thrifted. This is Lulu in Georgia, and it reminded me of our trip to Italy. And this is by a local artist. I found it at the Ann Arbor Art Fair, and I'm kicking myself because I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name. I want to give him a shout out. But yeah, Oh, and this is like a little thrifted needlepoint stool. And again, in regards to balance, this looks kind of old school, right? And I love that this table is super modern. It's triangular in shape. It's like a red marble. It's something special. When we first looked at the house, I mean, this was like 15 years ago, and I have always been a visual person, and it's always been easy for me to visualize things that I want. I will also say that I was a mom of 4 kids, so at the time, I wasn't necessarily thinking about ways to decorate. When I first got to college, I was really interested in drawing and painting, and I was really interested in fashion, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, so I then started leaning into photography. That was actually my concentration, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna work for a fashion magazine. You know, you have these big, grand dreams when you're 18, 20. So we got married, we moved into, well, this is actually our second home, but we started having kids, and my love of fashion very quickly turned into a love of interior design because I stayed home raising my kids, and I thought, if I'm gonna be home with my kids, I better love what I'm looking at. So moving into this house and being home raising my kids, it was like, I realized very quickly that designing a space can make you feel something when you walk into it. And I loved making spaces feel good to me because I was home with my kids, and I wanted it to be a livable, comfortable, beautiful space for my kids. So I think it just came with time, I guess. Now I'm going to take you into our dining room. This room is super cozy. Okay, where can I start? This lady, her name is Sophia. I was really drawn to her, just subtle touches of olive. I thought it looked beautiful with the wallpaper and the walls. This is Mediterranean olive. It's a Benjamin Moore color. Some people think she looks a little solemn, but I like that. I feel like she's kind of looking over us. Such a weird thing to say, but I like her, and I like, sometimes I would suggest that you leave your art just kind of leaning on the floor. For me, one excuse was that I just haven't gotten around to finding the perfect spot yet, but honestly, I find that art leaning against the wall on the floor just lends itself to feeling a little more casual and a little less stuffy. So we have an old family portrait, we have some antique pieces that we found in Italy, and these are just some other pieces of art that I've collected over time. I do find that I like a good mix of chairs around a dining room. So we have some upholstered armchairs, and then we also have these leather ones. And then of course I love throwing on a plaid throw over the back. As every room in my house, I'm really drawn to modern lighting. I think when things get to feel too antique-y, it's good to kind of throw in some really modern elements. I think this light is so cool. This is a rattan light from our house, and I think it just kind of balances the space just right. This bowl is ginormous and very heavy, and I currently just have it filled with an old encyclopedia set. I just thought the gold paper, the gold lining was really beautiful. So that's that. I don't know. Oh, I painted the ceiling black. This is the same color as this room over here. So I like to have things connected. There's a lot of olives, blacks, browns, and a little bit of maybe some like rust cinnamony colors. So this is Jet Black by Benjamin Moore, same color as in there. And I just kind of wanted this room to kind of feel like it's closing in on you in a really good way. It's like a little bit of a hug. This wallpaper has a little bit of a sheen to it, which is really beautiful. And I like that it's leafy, but there's also, I don't know if you could see, there's also little keys, which I thought was pretty cool. So this is a really oversized mirror, and I love the placement of it across from the window. It really reflects a lot of light, which is always great. And I was gonna show you this piece. This was a $50 thrifted find. It's super heavy, and I painted it the same color as the walls so that it just kind of continues and blends right in. And then again with the books, I like using them in different ways throughout the house. In this case, it was to raise the lamps up a little bit. And I don't know, these are just random little thrifted finds. He's got a pipe in his mouth, kind of reminded me of my uncle. This is another way, when I talked about adding modern lighting to rooms that are feeling a little stuffy, this is another way to do that, is to add really contemporary art. So I loved this black abstract. I found it to be really stark and handsome next to more of a feminine kind of wallpaper. But it doesn't last long. Then of course I throw in this like Victorian lady and this random mirror. So it starts getting fussy all over again, but that's okay. I like a good mix. That's the theme. And then also this over here, this is my dad's old army trunk, and I just thought it looked really cool in here. I love a good black and gold combo. Well, as far as hosting goes, we do really love to have people over. I think for the dining room, we're one of those people where we do use it on fancier occasions. Like we hosted Thanksgiving this year, and we had this gorgeous floral arrangement from Flora Detroit, and the table settings, I definitely went all out. Or even the other day, my daughter had some friends over for Galentine's, and this had a red tablecloth over it with like all the Valentine's Day type of shebangs. But at the same time, really, it's for everyday use. We don't eat here, but we use it all the time for puzzles, for Lego sets, for all the things kid related. You don't see a lot of toys around here, but my youngest is 10. So really, most of my kids are older, and it's not, we're not in the toys scattered around the house phase, but we are still in the use the dining room for all things kid related phase, which I love. I do want to point out in regards to the rug that it's just a simple check pattern, and I love mixing florals with more of a geometric. So with the wallpaper being more of a floral, I loved a good geometric check on the floor. So it's a good balance. I've always loved florals and plaids. It's like the masculine and feminine way to mix things around here. So next up, I'm going to take you to our kitchen. As far as renovations go, our kitchen was a big one. That was definitely, it screamed 2000. It had the dark cherry cabinets and the black granite. Basically, even though I love dark moody colors, I've always wanted kind of a lighter, brighter kitchen. So we replaced the counters, we put in quartz and a waterfall island. We painted the lower cabinets tricorn black by Sherwin-Williams and the uppers Simply White by Benjamin Moore. We added beams just to give it a little bit of charm and a little bit of character. And then we put all new floors throughout the house, hardwood floors, and a new backsplash. And also we moved the microwave from the typical builder grade above the stove location, and we put in a range hood. Welcome into our kitchen. This was the space that had the dark cherry cabinets and the black granite back in the day, and we kept the bones of the kitchen, and we really just repainted the cabinetry and got new countertops and this waterfall island and this sink and faucet and the backsplash and the lighting and all that jazz. We added in the beams a little bit later. I just think beams add so much character. Again, with the books, I will say this, if we were doing it from scratch, obviously we would take the cabinets to the ceiling. But because we were trying to save money and we did not, gut the whole thing and start from scratch, I thought, back in the day, people could put tchotchkes on top of their cabinets. I wasn't going to do that, obviously. So I think books are lovely. They're charming. People talk about it getting dusty. I mean, who cares? How often are you going up there? Am I grabbing those books to read? No. But that's okay. They look nice. They're charming. And they add a little bit of character, and they take up some space over the cabinet. So it's just a way of dealing with a thing that you don't necessarily love about your kitchen. Again, with another lady, I thought she was really pretty. I found her at a vintage shop in Grand Rapids, Michigan, along with this painting. This little grinder thing I stole from my mom. I tend to go to my parents or my in-laws and take things. This is vintage. Everyone thinks it's crazy to put something over the stove. I will say, first of all, I'm not a big cook, but also it's not really, I don't know, it's just been fine. I just was going to show you this frame. It's got this like rusty orange color velvet, and that's a picture of us from Italy. And then also, I was just going to share to not necessarily always frame the photos that are picture perfect and posed. This is a selfie that we took on my daughter's high school graduation day, and my husband's face is half cut off and so is my son's, but I just remember being so happy that day. So it's framed and by the sink. This is an oversized light fixture. I love that it's modern and more of a charming traditional kitchen, and I love these dome lights. I will say, I will never ever have lights that match anywhere in our home. There were dome lights that I loved for over the table, but because I picked out dome lights for the island, I wanted something different for over the table. So nothing matches in our house. That's like my only rule, and I don't like rules. I really don't follow any rules, but that's why it's a rule, because I don't want it to match. These, again, I love a good check or plaid, and I thought it was really fun mixed with this diamond check flooring or rug. Our dog bowl is made out of the same material as our countertops, and they made it to match the waterfall island, which I thought was kind of cute. And then over here, so this is the open shelving. At Christmas time, I had these filled with like metal gingerbread houses. It was super cute, and I that was the last thing I removed because it worked throughout the winter. I kept it for a long time. But so now we're back to just decorative items. Again, this is us in Venice. All browns, oranges. This wallpaper is really beautiful. I have a theme of like trees. I feel like there's a lot of trees or like leafy things in our home. Again, it just makes me think of a storybook. This is just vintage glassware that I thrifted. I loved the color of it. It's a really pretty amber glass. And again, because these are more rustic shelves, I like having some shiny things here and there. This is a book. We went into the most charming bookstore in Florence, and I just thought this was so beautiful. I just love that scene. And it's from 18 something. I can't remember, but it's way old and it's super beautiful, and it just brings back happy memories. So this plate, I thrifted this, and it said Burns Cottage. I believe it's in Scotland. This is the birthplace of the guy who wrote the Auld Lang Syne song for New Year's Eve. That's his house. I thought that was really cool. And it's a pretty olive color. So anything that's olive, I'll take. I like green. So this is our another powder room on the first floor. We had leftover beams, so I had our contractor add beams. And this light does not work. I really just added it for decorative purposes. I was really inspired after our trip to Europe, so I wanted it to kind of have a European feel. These are just equestrian prints I found on Etsy. I always frame art most of the time without the glass, just so that there's no reflection. And I just thought these were so beautiful. We went horseback riding in Florence, so horses remind me of that. This is an interesting little tidbit. So this is a shadow box with this thrifted used paintbrush. Nothing too symbolic other than the fact that it was kind of like an ode to my art degree. I thought that was kind of cool. I think with having 4 kids and a dog especially, it can be tricky keeping a place well maintained, and you want it to be you know, pristine and beautiful, but you also want your kids to feel like they can sit and actually live in their homes, So I would say, well, first of all, I think it helps that my kids are older now. It didn't always look like this when they were younger, but I think that it's doable no matter what age. Obviously, you need things that are a little more kid-friendly. Very comfortable fabrics, practical fabrics. Our sectional is Krypton, it's essentially indestructible. But also, I'm not afraid of things getting messed up. I feel like that kind of adds to the charm. Like our dining room is showing wear and tear, but with every spill or what are those things? Those iron-on beads that the kids do. They've left some residue, and it's just, you know, I look at it and I smile. I think of the memory of that. So off of our breakfast nook is this sliding door leads to our back porch, which I'll take you to. I actually just painted this window black. So now we are on our back patio. We use this for entertaining. The kids we've had a luau birthday party back here. We've carved pumpkins out here for a Halloween party. And just anytime we have a get together, we always end up out here. I like the string lights, and again, there's some thrifted art and some comfy pillows, and we love having a screened-in porch because we back to woods, so in the summer we just have a lot of bugs. So this is a really nice place to be outside and get some fresh air without being all the way outside, and we just love entertaining out here. It's nice to just sit around, have a drink, have some food, and just have fun with family and friends. So the amount of time we get to spend out here is a little limited based on being in Michigan. We have really long winters, and even the spring, it takes a while to get nice and warm out here. But we do enjoy it to the fullest in the summer months, and also the fall. Honestly, the fall is my favorite. All of these trees get super colorful, so I love being out here in the fall time. Okay, so it's a little chilly, so we're gonna go inside and I'll show you our family room. So now we are into the family room just off of the kitchen. This is the place that we spend the most time, the place we watch TV and hang out. Here's a nice gallery wall of my fam. And I love this fluted lamp shade. That's really beautiful. This is a super large and super comfortable sectional. This is from Universal Furniture. It's really modern in shape. It has a really wide back, and it's made that way so that people can actually like sit on the back of the couch too. We had people over for the Super Bowl, and there was a ton of people also on the back of the couch watching the screen. I do like pairing it though with this antique quilt on the back. I washed it after I got it. I for sure washed it because it's so old, but it's so beautiful. I love the colors in it, and I love that it's velvet. So I think it just warms up the space, especially since the shape of the sectional is so modern. This is the Hattie console from our house. I love the arch shapes. I will say arches are such a trend right now, and it works for us in our house because homes built in the 2000s use a lot of arches. So there's a big arch window over our front door, so I kind of added arches throughout the house as well, this being one place. I have a thing for pears. I found this digital art on Etsy and loaded it onto the TV to look like art on the wall. And then these little guys are from a local shop called Haven in downtown Plymouth. I actually got them for Christmas time, but I think they look good all year long, so I have them in a little bowl right here. And then this is a vintage print of a spot in Rome that we just visited, so that's why that's in there. On this side of the room, we have, again, with the play on the arches, I found these gorgeous arch bookcases. Love filling it with treasures. This is a random, I like finding little dollhouse furniture and putting it under cloches. I feel like every room needs a little touch of whimsy, a little touch of humor, so there's that. And then this fireplace, I'm not a huge fan of corner fireplaces, but we are working with what we've got. I tried to make it make sense we painted it the tricorn black, And then we found these wood slats that come in sheets. So we also had this black also, so it like reads as one large black wall. Again, I'm not a huge fan of accent walls, but I feel like I was just making do with what I had. Ideally, I would love to move this fireplace to the center of the room. And then it would be a double fireplace with the office on the other side, which would be amazing. I do want to talk to you about this fireplace screen. I found this in Nashville at an antique store. It's a tapestry. It's amazing. I love the wood detail. And the funny thing about this was we were going to Nashville for a friend's birthday and our flight was canceled because the snow in Michigan was crazy that morning. And we ended up driving. And if we didn't end up driving, I would not have been able to bring this home. So that kind of worked out in my favor. And I think, oh, and then also I just recently put these battery operated sconces up and I ordered brown plaid shades for them. They're just not in yet, but that'll be way more charming than just a solid white shade. We do not know this man. I bought him around Christmas time and he kind of reminded me of Santa Claus. But again, it's just one of those things that works all year round. It's an original. I found him at a vintage shop and I thought the colors were beautiful. The frame was really nice and the browns and the yellows. I tend to be drawn to fall colors, so he works. Santa Claus all year round. I feel like the way to make a builder grade home a little more your own, first of all, I feel like color goes a long way. People are afraid of paint and wallpaper for some reason. I hate when people talk about resale value. You're living in your home, whether it's for a month or 10 years, make it the way you want, and who cares what the future homeowners are gonna think about it. So we used a lot of paint, we used wallpaper, even a lot of architectural interests like adding beams or moldings, or also I just feel like adding history to any room is gonna make it feel very curated and collected. I have an art degree and the college that I went to was the University of Toledo. It's about an hour south. And the art classes were attached to the Toledo Museum of Art. So I had immediate access to this museum all the time and it was like my happy place. So for me, I feel like some people may walk in and think our house kind of looks like a museum. I have a lot of statues and a lot of art everywhere. But for me, I feel like it's all about balance, and having a home that looks like a museum does feel like home to me. And if you balance it with less fussy things, it feels really livable and just like a beautiful work of art that you live in. The way that I would say that we keep this very open floor plan flowing so that each room looks good together but is also its own separate entity, its own personality. I feel like every room in a house is a different chapter of the same book. So even though they look different, they should all speak to each other, if that makes sense. So my best advice would be to use a certain color palette. So I'm not saying paint everything the same color. I'm not a big fan of just an all white house or an all whatever house, but colors that look good together. So for me, I'm really drawn to autumnal colors. My oldest daughter's name is Autumn because I love autumn so much. But browns, rusty oranges, olive greens, blacks, all of that kind of looks good together. So I kind of thread these colors throughout all the rooms so that even though it's open, everything kind of looks good together. And also I think it's important to add little transitions that warm up the space. Like this is a random little corbel. I actually found this on Target online and I loved the rusticity of it and the color was beautiful. And it's just a little spot for, you know, transitioning from the kitchen to the family room. So we're currently in the family room and right around the corner is our home office if you'd like to take a look. this is our home office, which you can imagine over the pandemic we used quite a bit and still do, just to lounge in. It's such a special room. I love this brown plaid wallpaper. This is from Thibault. And if you draw your attention to the ceiling, this room, the ceiling is covered with vintage black books that I scoured the area for. I had a ton just because I've always collected black books, and I thought I had plenty for the ceiling. And once I got started, I realized I definitely do not have enough. So I looked at just a bunch of Salvation Armies and thrift stores, and I tore out the inner pages, but nothing got thrown away. I've used it throughout the house, the inside pages, but the ceiling, I used command strips because the covers themselves are super lightweight, so it's not going anywhere, and it's really cool. It's layered. It just brings a fun texture to the space. I don't even know how it came to my head, to be honest with you. I love decorating with books and I love reading, and I thought, oh, you're looking for something fun to do, why don't you cover the ceiling with book covers? I don't know, my brain is a little weird sometimes. So that's where it went. I had no reference photo, I just kind of went with it. Initially I was using a nail gun to see if I needed to nail them in, and people thought I was nuts because I was just going to put a million holes in my wall. Again, I'm not afraid to put holes in my wall, so that wasn't a big deal, but it just wasn't working the best. And so I kind of toyed around with different things, and the command strips ended up being the best bet. So it's pretty cool. I would just say one thing I should have done first was paint the ceiling black, so that if there are any little crevices where you could see through, you wouldn't be seeing a white ceiling, you'd just be seeing the black paint and it would all mix through. So that's my only regret. Otherwise, no regrets. I love it. The gallery wall, if you haven't noticed, I just really love a moody vibe, right? So clouds, rainy days, it's a mood, right? So I found all of these prints online. This is from Minted, and you can customize the colors because it actually came it's a vibrant piece with bright purple sky and a bright lime green grass. So I emailed the artist and said, this is the color of my couch. I want the grass more of an olive and the sky more of a dark brown, and they customized it and it looks amazing. And you know, the best place to read and the best time to read is on a rainy day. So I just felt like this really set the tone for just a good place to pick up a book. This is another, you know, ode to a bust, and these are antique furniture books that I found in Ann Arbor. So love those, love her. Oh, this light, again, with a really modern light in a more traditional space. This light is from Anthropology. I love the shape of it. I thought it was really cool. And then my son takes his piano lessons here, and I found this photograph from the Ann Arbor Art Fair last summer. So that is here. And then also this really cool modern lamp. I like it, again, because it's modern. I just really like modern lighting. I tend to be drawn to really traditional, old school things, but when it comes to lights, I like them really, really cool. This room was really inspired by Ralph Lauren's menswear line. Like I said, back in the day, I was really into fashion, and this is Ralph Lauren's book. And again, I love displaying books in unique ways, and so I just opened it up to a page that had some really fabulous women's wear, but there's also like menswear in here, and every now and then I just switch which page it's on. But yeah, and then there's a little brass hand bookmark. We really just use this cabinet for the TV, but I do love that we have a Lions Lego helmet set because we love our Lions in this house, and they should have gone to the Super Bowl. And then also a family photo, and this little guy I found on Etsy. It's a little cloud, and I thought it looked cool with the cloud paintings, right? Isn't that fun? That's that. Oh, and this, I just want to also say, this is a hand-blown Mark Wagar vase. My husband and I split the cost of this when we were dating in college from the Ann Arbor Art Fair. I I just think it's so cute to remember because we were dating and we were college students, so clearly we weren't like rolling in the dough, but he knew it meant a lot to me, so we split it, and it has lasted through 4 kids and almost 25 years. I'm like waiting for something bad to happen to it, but it's been good. We're good. So that's all that's in there. I would love to show you the rest of the house, so let's head upstairs. So now we are in the laundry room, and the whole goal with this was to completely color drench it in yellow. It was a bit of a risk, but I've always wanted to do this. In college, there was an artist, Sandy Skoglund, who came to the Toledo Museum of Art, and she was a mixed media installation artist who did these incredible rooms that were all one color. And then she'd have these crazy things going on in it. But the whole idea was that the rooms were drenched in all one color, and I always was kind of fascinated by that. So we did the floral wallpaper, and again, I mixed it with more of a geometric, like a stripe on the ceiling. I love finding ways to do something to the ceiling, so I thought this wallpaper was great with the floral. And then we changed the countertops. This is a Pharaoh and Ball color, and I forget the name of it. These are MTech hardware. My husband built this shelf to go over the washer and dryer, which has been amazing. And then little tip for you, you can cover outlets, you know, cover outlets with a piece of art. I bought this from somebody outside of a museum in Florence. And then also a little tip for you. This is a thrifted pot, and I keep the, you know, the draped pellets in there for the laundry. It smells so good. And then also I have the dryer sheets in this little wicker basket. So just find ways to make functionality more beautiful. You don't have to have a bright orange Tide container sitting out, or, you know, the bounce dryer sheets. You can put it in really pretty containers, and then it looks really lovely. And then on this side, I just used museum putty to adhere this art to the wall. I love this little pop of olive green in here. This is a velvet mat, and if you can see, she's carrying a basket of laundry over her head. So I actually found that art prior to even doing the laundry room. So I was so excited that it works in here. So I stole this from my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law. They had this in their basement, and I just repainted it the same color as the rest of the room. And then I had this woman, it's a digital print I got online, and her yellow dress just looked so beautiful in here. So it works in here. So this is our primary bedroom. It's a really lovely space with tall vaulted ceilings, which I love. It drives some people crazy that the bed isn't centered under the vaulted ceiling, but what they often don't see online is that that's because there's a door right here that leads to the bathroom. So didn't really have a choice there, but worked with what we had. Did 2 mirrors on either side over the nightstands. I love these pillows with the horses on them. That's a thrifted piece of art. And a little way to add some character over here, we had a mural installed, which I really love. And then this piece, I love the distress of it all, and it's really beautiful. And all of the book covers that are on the ceiling in the office, these are the interior pages. I use it as backdrop in cabinets, so it works. And that's pretty much that. One thing about the canopy bed, with it being really a modern and sleek frame, with it being brass and the velvet headboard, I ended up going with a more traditional ceiling fixture, which typically I tend to go more modern with my lighting, but because the bed was super modern, I went a different route. Same thing with the lamps. The bases I found online at Home Depot, but I actually found the shades from Ballard Design. I thought the texture was really warm and inviting, and it kind of reminded me of like a European cottage. And I always like to feel, if I'm not traveling, I like to feel like I'm traveling somewhere else. So just to have it feel like a far off place was really cool to me. So, and then the mirrors, again, with the arches, I like to bring in arches where I can so that the architecture of the house makes sense. So now I'm going to take you into our primary bathroom. Okay, so let's talk about the primary bathroom for a minute. This is the room I was telling you that was in some publications, and that's always really exciting. I'm really proud of it because we really took it all the way down and rebuilt it. And by we, I mean our contractor, but I came up with the design. So for starters, this wall back here was actually inspired by a 19th century wall molding that I saw on eBay. And I almost actually bought the wall molding that I found and had it delivered, and then my contractor said he can recreate it, which would be way easier. So what we did was I came up with the idea of using corbels facing each other to create the arch. He just ended up having to kind of extend it a little bit so it didn't come to a point. It ended up being more of an archway, and then he added a little bit of a lip so that I can have candles or artwork. I found this tapestry on eBay, and it really reminded me of that scene in Beauty and the Beast where she's twirling around reading and singing. I love it. Again, with the bust guy. This book, it's called The Ultimate Bath. It's from Barbara Stalick, who owns Waterworks, and our bathroom is actually in this book. It's at the table of contents, which is pretty awesome. This pedestal is vintage. Found it on eBay. I loved that it was lucite. I just thought it was really funky and cool and a good juxtaposition with a more classic bust. And then this clawfoot tub is so fabulous. It's a dreamy tub. When this was featured in Better Homes and Gardens, the writer said that this space was like a living room, but instead of a sofa, it had a fabulous clawfoot tub, which I loved that. It does feel like a living space, but with a clawfoot tub in it. And I really thought this light was pretty cool. That's from Shades of Light. One thing that we did was there was a door here to the water closet, and we took it out and did a sliding door instead because it just saved space. And then I painted this and the closet the same color. This is Palm Leaf by Sherwin-Williams. And then what I love is there's a little surprise of the wallpaper in here because I kept it very simple and classic with just white. But in here, I wanted it to be a little bit of a little jewel box. And again, because it's like handwritten script, it almost looks like a diary or a storybook, in keeping with the theme of kind of like each room feeling like a storybook. So that's this. Even this, the ladder, even that has an arch shape. I wanted it to speak to the arches on the wall. These are 19th century doors I found on eBay. There were 2 doorknobs. I promise it. There's a reason why we had to take it off. It's a long story, but we put it on a slider here, and then this leads to our closet. I just thought these were so cool. Again, the arch was really cool. It was actually a blue door, and we had it stripped, and then I painted it the same color as the water closet door. But again, something old paired with something really new and beautiful like these knobs, I thought was really special. And then again, a little arch in that artwork and more statues. These are custom Roman shades. Again, a little play on a check kind of pattern with more of a floral type of traditional rug. I just was gonna say, we also added the same beams that we put in our kitchen, we added up here. It matches the flooring that we put in here, which is a tile that looks like wood. I love wood with black, so I liked that combo. This is a vintage ashtray that I cleared off, and I use it to hold Q-tips. So I just like using things in unconventional ways. And this came from France. I ordered this off of eBay. I just thought the colors were gorgeous. I would say our biggest renovation was our primary bathroom. The kitchen was something where it was just kind of cosmetic changes, whereas the bathroom, we gutted it and took it to the studs. Not ourselves. We're not exactly DIYers. But we took it to the studs, and the bathroom had a corner tub and, you know, the Shell lights from the late 90s. Early 2000s. So we got a clawfoot tub and 2 vanities on the other wall, and I'm really proud of that space. That space has been in Better Homes and Gardens, it's been online on Architectural Digest, it's been in a coffee table book, and it's just super special. I think the thing that makes a home come alive is things with history and things that tell your story. So I love going thrifting. I love special pieces that aren't necessarily in everyone's home, that you can't get at Target. It's not old. So I want to bring history in so that it feels like it's been here for a while. So I just think older pieces, especially books, I just love filling a space with books, and I use them in all sorts of ways, whether it's under lamps to elevate them, or I have DIY'd a ceiling in our office of all book covers on the ceiling, which many people thought I was a little crazy for, but I think it's beautiful and it's great to read in there on a rainy day. I love the vibe in there. So basically bringing in history and making sure your home tells your story is what gives it soul. Home to me is a place where you feel safe and loved, and you're with your favorite people, and it's just where you come home at the end of the day and feel your best and your most supported, and where you have fun and you laugh a lot. That's home.
Hi Homeworthy, my name is James and welcome to my tiny 600 square foot apartment in Ridgewood, Queens.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi, welcome to my kitchen. So my kitchen is actually the brightest room in the apartment, and it's the last room that I've actually designed or decorated. And it's probably one of the more fun rooms to me. I, again, like I mentioned, love Fornasetti wallpaper. So I went with the Arancia print, which is blood orange. Kind of gives a really fun kind of Italian vibe in here. Being in a rental apartment, I'm very limited on what I could technically do in here, but my landlady is really cool, so she said I could totally paint the cabinets, so I hired a company to come in, and they painted everything. I went with this really beautiful red. I was really adamant that it was a deeper red and not like tomato red, which I hate. So it came out really good. I had them cover all the cabinets, and then even this is kind of like a built-in that's like really old to the building, so I had them do that as well, just to kind of bring it up and kind of pull it all together. Recently, I changed all the appliances because even though it is a rental, I just can't stand white appliances. So I actually bought new appliances for the apartment, and I'm gifting them to my landlady. So if I ever do leave, she can keep them. But I find though with this wallpaper, it's really, really cool. You don't need a lot of artwork on the walls with this kind of wallpaper. And as a maximalist, I'm so tempted to like hang a lot of stuff up on it, but I kind of let the wallpaper do all the work. So I really keep the walls very simple now, just having the wallpaper. Like I mentioned before, I don't really love appliances. One thing I've been told about this kitchen is that it doesn't feel like a kitchen. It feels more like a living space that just happens to have kitchen appliances in it, which is kind of the vibe I was going for. So my microwave is over here, but I have all my little, again, more liquor and things like that. That's kind of the running theme in here, is I have a lot of alcohol stations, I guess. And I do collect certain things. So I love the Christian Dior Casablanca collection. I've been collecting this stuff for years, and I have just about every piece of it. It's been discontinued for a really long time, so whenever I come across these guys, I buy them like crazy. I have plates, I have the bowls, I have the platters, you name it, I have it all. I even have their wine glasses and everything. And again, it's like nice and pretty and shiny, which is what I really love. I love pretty things. And kind of over here again is like the area where I do, unfortunately, all my cleaning and stuff like that. I don't have a dishwasher. It's an old building, so I have to make use of what I have. I did install this guy, which is so helpful for washing dishes. And you know, these are my everyday blue and whites. So these are like my daily plates that I kind of use. I'll eat like my Burger King and stuff off of this. Do I cook a lot? I'm really good at using the air fryer, is what I'm really good at. I also heat up my water like to make my instant coffee. Yes, I'm a Nescafe drinker. So I really don't do heavy cooking. I especially don't in the summertime because it just gets too hot. So I also, when I upgraded my appliances, I actually scaled the size down. So this is like a 24-inch range. I had a larger 30-inch, which was just eating up so much space. So I went down smaller, which is like perfect for this kitchen, so I can actually move around better. I love collecting copper. So this is all the Mauviel copper stuff. So I have lots of different pieces here that I think copper cookware is so beautiful. I wish I used it a little bit more, I should. And then this is actually built into the wall. It's like a little mantle. I believe this is a fireplace. So in this building, these apartments, they're railroad apartments. Old railroad apartments were technically two-family homes. So there's two entrances to the apartment. There is an entrance here from the into the kitchen, and then there's an entrance on the very end in my bedroom. And I believe what it was two families would live in the apartment and they would have access to each end. So this would be like the main room for the two families to cook in and use the bathroom, and then they would have their own rooms so they can keep themselves very private at the same time. It's kind of a cool space. It's great for a single person. I would not want to have roommates or anything like that in this kind of setup. So over here is kind of my little seating, eating area, and it does eat up a lot of the space, but it's so important for me to, this is actually where I do all my work from. So it's just important for me to have like a comfortable area to sit at. And this is one of my first antique pieces I bought many years ago. It's a Garrodon table. It's actually supposed to be like an entry table, but I turned it into like a dining table. Has a beautiful black marble top, and it's got all this beautiful ormolu detailing on it down here. And then I have one of my prized pieces. This is a Mason Jansen settee. Pretty durable. It's been kind of attacked a little bit. I have my cat Otis. This is the one piece of furniture that Otis actually does in fact scratch up, which I allow him to do that. I don't care. So he lies on this as well. And then this is, I'm sure a lot of you guys know that artist, Josh Young. I've been friends with him for a couple of years. He's a very talented guy. I really like this piece. And one of my big splurges for this year was having these custom shades made. These are Aaron Lauder for Lee Joffa, and they're this beautiful velvet. And I had them made into Roman shades. Surprisingly, very expensive to make Roman shades. So I think between the fabric and then actually having them make the shades, it was probably about $3,000 to $4,000 for the pair, but worth it. I really love it. Like I mentioned before, I'm not a good DIY person. However, I'm really good with the hot glue gun, and I recently decided to cover my Apollo bust in these beautiful shells here, so it gives a little color to him. I have another Josh Young print over there as well. And then over here, this was for the longest time the area of the kitchen that I hated the most. I hate this counter. I hate the countertop. It's an awful laminate. So of course I hired a company to come in and cover all the cabinets in the red paint. And then I decided that I would skirt the counter just to kind of hide off the drawers and the cabinets below. And so I found this really beautiful, it was a pair of curtains that I had brought to my seamstress at the dry cleaner, and I had her flip them to the side. So basically the The skirt here you can see now is on the bottom, the fringe, which is carried out in my ottoman in the living room. That's the same fringe. And I had her adhere some Velcro, and then it just sticks to here. And anytime I need to access it, I just kind of pull it off like so. And you can see I did not pay for the guys to paint here because I knew that I was never going to have that exposed with the skirt. And I like it. It actually kind of adds some more color, and now I actually enjoy this corner more. And then more of my Luke Edward Hall, Richard Ginori plates as well, kind of gets everything pulled together for that kind of Italian vibe. This little guy here is not the most functional piece. It's really more for someone small to sit at, but it's a piece I had covered again in more. I had some leftover Scalamandri fabric, so I just had them kind of cover this to give more of that animal print in here as well. And then let me show you my bathroom really quickly. Okay. So the bathroom is your typical really tiny bathroom. I'm really lucky I actually have a bathtub. I kind of wanted to just add a little bit of pattern in here. This is a very different room from the rest of the apartment as far as the color goes. I'm using grays and blues, which is very weird for me. But I actually found, I happen to have in my closet a Pottery Barn shower curtain that I just brought to the dry cleaner, and I had the seamstress cut it and turn it into a skirt here just to kind of hide the sink. This is kind of where my trash can and my cleaning stuff is, under here. And then I have a lot of portraits in here of Napoleon and other people, and they basically are all staring at you while you're going to the bathroom. So that was the vibe I was going for, is kind of an uncomfortable feel in the bathroom. And that's my little bathroom. Here we are in my very small, more is more maximalist living room. The room is, I think, about 14 feet by 9 feet, so it's very narrow, as you could probably see, but I've managed to squeeze a lot of stuff in it. I have to start off here with one of my favorite areas of the living room, actually probably in my whole apartment. This was a closet that I decided to give up and utilize it more for a cabinet of curiosities kind of space, basically. So this is a desk that I do not use. I've never sat at it. I don't work from it at all, but I use it more to showcase some of my favorite pieces. So I have a lot of, as you can see, taxidermy and things like that. One of my favorite taxidermy pieces is this beautiful caiman from South America. I've had him for a really long time. I have beautiful dioramas here, Victorian dioramas of birds. And I love candles. Candles are like one of my favorite things. I love diptyque candles, Cire Dawn candles, you name it. I think it's really important in a home to have a beautiful scent. When you walk into a home for the first time, you should really be hit with a beautiful fragrance. Speaking of having like a signature scent in your home, I am obsessed with these Armenian burning papers. I burn them all the time. They're so great. They're like beautifully scented. You just kind of fold them up and light them, and then just kind of burn them throughout the apartment, and it just really infuses the whole place with like a really nice scent. So this is like one of my go-tos for like a signature home scent. And then really I also, if you notice, I have a lot of having taxidermy. I don't really have a lot of live things in here. I don't have plants. I have terrible lighting in this apartment. And I do love fresh flowers. I like to keep my flowers very simple, even though I'm a maximalist. So I just like very simple flower arrangements and things like that. I collect taxidermy ethically to the best I can. I will say I have some very old pieces that I'm quite sure were hunted. When you really talk to actual taxidermists, who in my mind are artists, they are really brilliant people in what they're doing. They're really extending the life of this animal that either passed naturally or in other ways, and they are keeping its spirit going, essentially. I find taxidermy to be very beautiful. And then moving over to here, this is a piece I'm actually kind of proud of. I really love Fornicetti. So as you kind of walk through here, you're going to see a lot of Fornicetti. I also really love malachite, and I love red coral. So you're going to kind of see that kind of combination a lot in here. And I really love the color red. So you're going to see a lot of red throughout my apartment. But like I mentioned before, when this apartment was renovated, they really took out all of the character and charm of the space. It's a pre-war building. So I try adding it back, and instead of adding typical molding, which is what a lot of people would do, I find other ways to add architecture. So this is the Fornacetti wallpaper that I actually DIY'd myself, so I'm very proud of that. It took me a couple hours, and I took the whole screen apart and then just used some glue and wallpapered this right on, and it just kind of gives a little bit of that architectural feel. It also kind of breaks up a little bit of the color because there's so many colors happening in here that the black and white just, I find, kind of grounds it a little bit, which is great. One thing in this room is that your eye can't really land on anything. There's so much stuff happening, which I really love, is when someone sees my apartment, every time they notice something different about it, which I think is like really special in a home, is that you kind of go, oh, I never even noticed that you had that, or I never noticed that corner. So it kind of keeps people guessing all the time. Cleaning in this apartment is, you would think a small space would be very easy to clean, and there's a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of dust. So I'm doing dusting constantly. I've had to create fun games to keep myself engaged while I'm dusting. So I usually take a couple shots of some Fireball and start dusting away. And I usually end up forgetting what I'm doing. But the cats are not the problem. It's just having so many things to have to kind of dust down and kind of wipe down. Especially when you have black surfaces, you can really see everything, of course. These are a pair of obelisks that I got when I was in Dallas, and they did not have the intaglios on them, so I wanted to add a little something to it, and I found these beautiful red ones, and then I used some gold leaf and just kind of gave a little shine around on the edges of it, and then just hot glued them on, and now they just kind of stand out a little bit more. And I have a beautiful lucite trunk over here as well that was a custom made that I keep all of my Hermes boxes in. As you can see here, I have a lot of framed Hermes scarves. That's kind of something that I'm really known for. They're like artwork, of course, and they're very large. So each scarf framed is about 3 by 3. So it really takes up the whole entire wall. I have specific scarves that I really love. I love the Brandenburgs and I love the tiger. As you'll probably notice, I love animal print, so anything tiger or leopard. I'm a big pillow person. Pillows are like so important to me. I love custom pillows. I love some Scalamandre. This is one of my favorite prized pillows. I would say if there ever was a fire in my apartment and I had to run out with something, I would take my cat, and then I would take this Hermes pillow. It's one of my favorite prints. It's the Equator print, which is unfortunately discontinued. I had a dream years ago when I was custom making my sofa that I would actually have the whole sofa covered in this fabric. Unfortunately, it just wasn't in the budget for me, as it would be about $20,000 for the fabric to be able to cover the sofa. So I settled on a really beautiful Italian mohair instead. This is not my forever sofa, so I figured I'll go with a nice fabric. I don't need to invest that much money. And it has a really nice piece. I really love it. It's really comfortable. How do I balance colors and pattern? My philosophy is if it's pretty, pretty will always match with pretty. So that's my thing. As a perfect example here, when I say pretty, always goes with pretty. Also, anything goes with animal print. Like we all know animal print's a neutral, so you could really mix this into anything really. I really find again that you could really mix everything together and layer, and that's what I love to do, is layering different textures, different fabrics, different patterns, different colors. You kind of notice that I really love gemstone colors. Like I mentioned before, I love malachite, I love coral and things like that. Again, really inspired by Tony Duquette. So speaking of Tony Duquette, this is probably one of my favorite pieces as well. I have a great story with this guy. This is the abalone chandelier from Tony Duquette. This is not the original, but I believe Hutton Wilkinson licensed this out to Baker Furniture years ago, and so they made a bunch of these chandeliers, and I managed to get my hands on one through an interior designer who originally had it hanging in her window in Pennsylvania. It was about 5 years ago that I found it and asked her how much she was selling it for, and she was like $12,000. And I kind of was like, do I want to buy that for $12,000? And I kind of was thinking about it, and I waited, and every year I would call her and say, what's going on with that chandelier? What are you doing with that? And she'd be like, it's yours for $10,000. So I would just kind of wait, and finally I reached out to her a few years ago, And I said, how's it going? What's up with the chandelier? What are you up to? And she said, I'm closing my business. I'm moving down to Florida. The chandelier is yours for $3,000. You can come and pick it up anytime. So I drove over there, picked up this beautiful chandelier. It's all toll, so it's very heavy. And I honestly kept it in the trunk of my SUV for about 3 months, brought it upstairs, left it in my hallway for another 6 months, and then finally hung it maybe about 2 years ago. It's a gorgeous piece. It's so stunning. I obviously, when I had the gentleman hang it, I had him hang it a little low. So if you are not comfortable in here, or if you're maybe a little drunk or whatnot, people tend to hit their head on it. But I kind of like that because I like to laugh at people when they do that. But I'm comfortable in here, so I always know how to walk around it. I also recently started adding these little tassels to it, just again, adding some more layers. I think it just kind of gives it a little bit more. And as you can see here, I have some beautiful Scalamandri chairs. These were, every year, basically, I treat myself to like a big thing. So these were a treat to myself a few years ago. And they will be like a nice down payment on a home eventually, should I ever need to get rid of them. But I really enjoy them. They're really beautiful. I love the shape of them. Again, there's not a lot of space in this room, so it's very narrow. So it's just trying to have the right amount of seating, but also have enough room just to even be able to get by. So over here is kind of my bar cart area. Let's see. So you can see they're like really pretty. Let's see here. Aren't these cute? Should make them into a pillow or something. But I have a whole bunch of these. And yeah, I'm always like on the lookout for there's certain things that I collect. Gucci barware is one, taxidermy is another. And then I also collect specific pieces of china. So we'll see that when we get into my kitchen. But otherwise, this is my little more is more living room. So my guest room is even smaller than my living room, as you can see. I don't really love electronics and things like that. So I have a small TV in here. That's what this room is for, just to kind of hang out. As you can see, I really love red, if I didn't tell you that already. I recently had this whole room covered in Fornasetti wallpaper. I love the Fornasetti malachite wallpaper. So I had my guy Kurt come in and he did one wall for me here, and I kind of was like, oh, I love this. And I was like, let's see what happens if we kind of extend it over to the closet. So then I had him do the closet, and I was like, let's do the wall behind me. Let's do all over. So he just did everything. However, as kind of a wallpaper novice, I learned something. I didn't order enough rolls. So when he said he needed a couple more rolls, I decided to go with a different company that was still selling the same wallpaper. However, it was a different print, so the colors don't match up, and you can kind of see it a little bit throughout the room. So I have kind of adopted this Japanese thought on beauty called wabi-sabi, which is basically finding the beauty in imperfect things. So I would say wabi-sabi, or if there's something that's broken or chipped, I just say wabi-sabi. It's okay, it's what it is. But over here you can see this is kind of my red bed. I really, like I said, love the color red. I'm a Scorpio. It's kind of my color. It works for me. These were a treat to myself years ago. These are really beautiful from they're from the 19th century. They are stunning chinoiserie silk from France. These were beautiful panels that I kind of created this really nice canopy style daybed. I love a good old Nona blanket. So this is I'm sure if you have an Italian grandma, you probably have seen these, but these are the bedspreads that are commonly used in Italy. And I found a beautiful red satin one here, which really kind of, again, adds more to that drama of the room. I had my upholsterer, Angelo, completely reupholster this whole bed in a beautiful red velvet, had him make some bolsters for me as well. This is actually one of my favorite pieces here too. This is a really beautiful malachite table that kind of has like that Fornasetti feel to it. One of my favorite designers, Ken Folk, actually used the same table in one of his showrooms, and it just kind of shows that him and I have very good taste in things. So I was really happy to see that he used that. And then Also, so this room here is totally off limits. It's my Monica Geller from Friends room that I use to throw all my junk in. So it's actually my bedroom, but it's not really designed. It's probably the most lived in room, but it's definitely not home-worthy. So we're gonna skip that room, but you know what? Maybe you guys will have me back in the future and we'll look at that room later. But moving over to here, again, I really just like to have beautiful pieces displayed. I love fragrances. Some of my favorite fragrances that I wear are like Penhaligon's, Halfeti. So that's why I smell so good today. Lots of diptyque and things like that. I love a good boozy scent. So this is one of my favorites. But something I really need to talk to you guys about is this gorgeous lampshade that I actually just had custom made for me by a very talented designer in Maryland, Olive and Limpet. And I reached out to her and was like, hey, can you do a beautiful red shade for me that's in silk? And she put this together in 1 week and sent it to me. Gotta check her out. She's so good. She makes beautiful finials as well. The ceiling is really fun to look at too. I recently had the ceiling wallpapered in House of Hackney leopard print. And then of course this stunning chandelier I think really kind of pulls everything together. This chandelier is from the 1940s, it's from India, and it just has that beautiful ruby red that I love. And then of course I added again more tassels up at the top just to kind of give a little bit more of that little detail. This Gucci pillow was a little treat to myself a few years ago. I love it. And it just gives again a little bit more of that pop of that color. And I love using plates for decoration, of course. So we have some Fornasetti plates. This actually was purchased for me as a gift from a really good friend of mine, Nancy. I was collecting all the plates and I got a little out of hand with them. So now I just have it scaled down to just 3 of the Luke Edward Hall plates in my whole apartment, and they have the other ones hidden. But again, I like kind of the mix of the colors of the green and the pinks and the reds and things like that. And of course the animal print. Home for me is, well, I guess it's someplace that you could feel really comfortable in and totally be yourself and, you know, be totally at ease and at the same time really enjoy like your surroundings. I think for me that's really what home is.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Sharon Mimran. Come on into my condo in Toronto. I'd love to show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Sharon Mimran. Welcome to my home in Toronto. I'd love to show you around. I'm a true Torontonian. I've lived here all my life and I've been doing interior design for 35 years now. So it's in my nature, it's in my blood. I can't stop designing and moving and shaking and changing things around. And I was originally in the fashion business, and it was an easy foray after I had my children to move into interiors. And interior design is where I stayed. For the most part, it's my favorite thing in the world to do. The vision for this space was very moody, a lot of black. Backdrop for the art, again, was important for me to focus on how it would look, from afar, the boom impact that you see when you walk through the front door, what the impact is. And that to me, I try and put into all my work. A focal point that you really get the most out of what the house is going to show you and portray and open up to. The most challenging part was the fact that it was a COVID building and we had to wait and when nothing was being done. So it took about 6 years for this to be built. And we honestly didn't think we were going to move in. I had lost interest completely. But the view is unequaled in Toronto. It's clear down to the CN Tower and the lake. Nothing will ever be built or obstruct that view. Nothing will be built in front because we have Queen's Park just below us. And it is an exceptional selling feature, as well as that view never grows old. You can stare at it like forever, all day. And I guess that, was part of the selling feature. The fact that I had this backdrop of the city and then all the pieces that fit together, the puzzle of all my possessions and all my art over and over 6 years, I had a place for everything. So when we moved in, it was boom, boom, boom. 2 days, everything was done. Well, this is the welcoming feature. Front entry, come on in. 9 Alex Katz 7-foot girls in black dresses. It's a set that I coveted because of the color, the vibrancy, and the way Alex Katz loves women. And most of his work shows that. And then, of course, there's the marble archways, the marble baseboards, all in black, the black oak trim in the very, very front foyer, and it's modern fixtures that are kind of retro, I guess. But this is what gives you like the wow factor, the black and white floor that goes, whoa. You just can't, everyone goes incredibly wide-eyed when they open the front door. Follow me, we're going into the bar where we watch a lot of games with a lot of David's, my husband's friends, and where you entertain a lot. But you'll see I've used the surface area for my collections, my mom's and my grandmother's silver, which we have to polish, unfortunately, but no one else wanted it. And then, of course, we have the bar area with the glassware from Capri, where we go every year. And then this is my other boyfriend, Lou Reed. He's done by Chuck Close, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but is a tapestry, one of 9 only. And I just fell for it at Art Basel about 10 years ago. It's quite impressive. You can even see his eyes are perfect. It's a photograph, but it's woven. Go figure. Leading from the marble hallway in black and the narrow marquina, which is black marble, in the entry, we put the same marble on the countertop in the bar area and paneled the whole thing in a beautiful walnut. Now, what I have to tell you is there was nothing here. Most of the condos came with the kitchen in this area. So we moved everything around. We were able, because it was pre-construction, to move walls and make more of an entertainment area because we love entertaining. And here are my dad's, God, may he rest in peace, collection of matches that he collected from the 60s that's on the bar. And that when they used to smoke in every day and all day. And these are just collections of ice buckets that I have, and fridges, extra fridges and freezers, so that you can really make use of the bar area. And people sit and chat and they love it. So here we are. Come with me. This is the dining room. As you can see, I have a big table because I have a big family. Now this is a pretty modern piece to mix with all the old antiques, but I love the look of it. And the color of the wood is my favorite, the walnut. This table's actually from Brazil and took, oh God, months and months and months and months to get. But it's really works well with all our family. And this is a Lazy Susan that I ordered with it so that you can put some of the condiments or some of the dishes, Chinese food in particular, and serve yourself. And then I have an antique buffet made of black glass where we also put all the food so people can help themselves buffet style. And it's flanked by a lot of antiques. The chandelier is 60s, modern, mixed with old and new together. It marries, it just works really well, I think. And then the sconces as well are antique, also from the 50s and Italy. So I think that, you're getting the gist. The chairs I had made by Roche-Beaubois, custom. I loved one of their chairs, but it was too low in the back. And I like to see a chair height rise beyond the table. But here's the best piece of art, the view. Now, it's a snowy day, gray here in Toronto, but I'm just going to show you the Queen of Toronto, and that's the CN Tower. And if you get to see that out your window, it's pretty special. Kind of like the Eiffel Tower in Paris, if you want to be so close. And nothing will ever be built in front, so that's why we moved here, because of the view. And you could have a barbecue. This picture was taken of Queen Elizabeth. The day they were taking the picture was a Canadian photographer, Stephen Levy, and he was taking the picture to put on the $100 pound note in celebration of her Jubilee, or her many years of reign. And there she is having a rest with her eyes closed, and it's an outtake. And so it's a hologram also. She does not open the eyes, but it gives it a dimension with her fur ermine collar. It's quite regal, and the crown. I just loved it. I love the royals. I read Hello magazine every week. And this is the living room. Of course, we built the fireplace. We did all the scalloping of the marble and the surround. I mean, they gave you a fireplace. As you know, in condos, everything's very raw. So in order to make the most of it, I moved the fireplace down to the floor level. So it's a nice big opening on the floor, so it looks more real than the gas fireplace it is. And then again, the view. So I have a couple of vintage pieces and a couple of brand new pieces that I've mixed together. The coffee table's from Portugal, but it's the same hue of wood in oak as the dining room table, so it balances. And these vintage French chairs, which I bought from my girlfriend when she was changing her look, I have never tired of. This is a set of vintage aqueducts from Mexico, models for aqueducts, actually from the 30s. And they're just sitting on a very eclectic Biedermeier bench I painted white and just put my grandmother's candlesticks and a bunch of old column lamps that I made into lamps. But as you can see, you can mix so many elements and layers of things you love in order to create like the vignettes that I'm talking about. I worked with a company called Pound Bonnell to do all the drawings for this place before we decided to move in, and then afterwards, of course. So I bought these stools from them. They have a furniture line. It's quite beautiful. And since I don't draw, but I hire people to do so for me, it was a collaboration together of design, because I knew what I wanted. I knew the pieces I had. Just placing them, they were very helpful. Now here we are in the kitchen. The kitchen was somewhere else. The kitchen was on the other side of the house, and it was huge. So I made it very concise. All the appliances are hidden on this big wall, including washer dryer. I forfeited the laundry room so I could have another bedroom, which is the den that you interviewed me in. So I could have a Murphy bed and my grandkids could come stay. And the kitchen works really well as this little galley. I mean, it's just got the perfect triangle of appliances, which is what you should always have, is a triangle between the stove, the sink, and the fridge. And counters are all marble, and I had them all laminated with a new clear coat that you don't ruin your marble. It's unbelievable. It's heated, so it adheres to the marble itself. And this is a beautiful green marble that I didn't know why I loved, but I did. So when you do stuff like that, it gives you the flexibility to be able to use your stone and not ruin it with lemon or acids of any kind in your food. And I cook a lot, so I really appreciated that. And as you can see, the view again. So when you're cooking, it's really wonderful. I always look down to see what people are wearing, to see how I should go out today, whether it's raining or not, if the umbrellas are up, or if the windshield wipers are moving. And it's spectacular entertainment. And we have a little coffee area for my favorite Nespresso. And everything's like very custom, I have to say. Before we head into the den, I want you to see my favorite girls, Grace Kelly and Audrey Hepburn. There's some vintage silver screen photographs that are priceless, just so you know. So this is the den. This is the den or library, and it's quite unique. All the books here, not all of them, but all the old world books belong to my grandmother. She had a decorator who bought books by the pound and put them on the shelves in her library in Miami. And when she passed away, I asked if I could have the books. And there are a series of old books that are really crumbling and falling apart, but I think they add to the ambiance of the room. And I collect a lot of coffee table books from a long time ago. We do work in here. There's a TV so that you can watch shows while you do your work. There's a pull-down bed for my grandkids when they come, so that's kind of fun. It's Murphy. You wouldn't even know Murphy bed is in the wall there. But they were scared. They thought it would close up on them when they were in the bed because they didn't weigh enough. And I had this custom made so many years ago, a stainless steel sawtooth desk, and I think it looks really good, like kind of modern. And this, the design of this room actually, and the vintage fixtures and everything came together when I visited a hotel in Rome many years ago called the JK, and everything about it was so precious and beautiful. Every corner, every vignette, the shiny lacquer wood, the paneling, and so I sort of emulated it here. So the powder room doubles as an extra bathroom when we have guests sleeping in the Murphy bed. And the Murphy bed is in the den as I showed you. But this little jewel of high gloss black paint and lots of art on the wall, Miro's, and I have a Damien Hirst behind the door and a Terry Richardson. There's also a 17th century painting, but mixing things up, that's what we like to do. Well, this is another Jerry Schatzberg of Faye Dunaway, same artist as the Bob Dylan. And as you can see, it's very dramatic. She looks so beautiful in this. And below it is a Helmut Newton Sumo book signed by Mr. Newton. Not to me specifically, but never buy these books unless they're signed by the main author. But it's hard to keep it, it's so heavy. So come with me, we're gonna go into the Rogues Gallery. It's very, 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 very special. Now, I don't know if anyone's ever tried to do a collage of photographs, but it's always very painstaking and very, very difficult. And since I had so many pieces of art, in every house that I've been in, I have to do these collages in order to fit them all in, because there's not enough wall space. So this is my Rogues Gallery. I've got Audrey Hepburn, Chet Baker, Fats Navarro, I've got Jerry Lee Robinson, and I've got Christy Turlington. That's taken by Herb Ritz. And the Irving pen here is of Miles Davis. I've collected famous people, musicians in particular, I don't know why, and actors and actresses. In Toronto, there's a street called Bay Street. And my son, who loved photography, that's his friend, at 3 a.m. having a martini and a butt on Bay Street, downtown. And this was in their graduation, so it's the best picture. This is the Fractured Linda Evangelista, taken by Brian Adams. And I bought it at auction for charity, and I'm madly in love with it. It's very special. It sort of makes you think you're moving. I've been collecting art for about 50 years now, and it started with a small piece and then grew and grew and grew. My collection is quite exceptional right now. And I think I'm just, you know, it's always the acquisition of the next piece, or in my collections of things, and my collection of antiques sort of mirrors my collection of art. I can't stop. It seems that now that a lot of the corners are full, I have nowhere left, no more walls. So it's, you know, it's just a part of the artistic side of me. This is the guest room, and there's a big bathroom en suite too. But it's like a circus tent in all the stripes. And we tented all the walls all around to hide all the workings of a condo, because behind it are all these panels, like electrical panels, and the steam shower workings, and that was kind of ugly and unsightly. So I just draped the whole room. So I welcome you into my master bedroom. I have a Keith Haring here on the wall, which is very special. I gave it to David for his special birthday. And it's called the Lucky Strike. And it says, "It's toasted," which is his sense of humor. And if you come in, you'll see there's art everywhere. I have an Alex Katz over the bed. And the whole bed wall is fabric. It's upholstered in black, velvety, kind of ultra suede kind of fabric, which makes the headboard very, very comfortable and cushy. And then I have all vintage pieces other than the end tables. The end tables, it took 4 years to get through COVID. The first set I picked, they discontinued what it was made of, bone or something. And these are leather. They're all stitched. Very unusual. And I put a piece of black matte glass on top so that we wouldn't ruin it with, you know, drinks or what have you. But end tables are one very difficult thing to find. You'll see. This is my bed, and I have Fornasetti cushions, the winking girl, the crying girl, the smoking girl, and I don't know what's on the other side of that one. Anyway, the linens are from a local place in Toronto that makes linens called Oli, and it's the finest 800 count linens that you could ever get, and that's my luxury. I even have them pressed and washed out of the house like a hotel. I can't sleep in linens that are not pressed. I kind of spoiled that way. But we found a place that was very reasonable. Anyway, and every year we go to Capri and I buy something from Pucci. Pants, top. This year I bought a pillow. This is an Alex Katz, another one. It's called Ariel. And Ariel, he is one of his women he was infatuated with. The fixtures from my dining room in my first house, and the sconces, I don't know if you can see them, kind of match, even though I bought them at auction for like $200 once many years ago. So it's funny when you have something and then you go, oh, that matches, but like 10 years apart. It's collecting. That's the joy of collecting. This is a Russell Young. He put sparkles on everything. I have another one of Kate Moss in the bathroom of his, but I gave this to my husband because he's perfectly a pink grenade, ready to go off at any moment. And I think it's very symbolic of how he lives his life. And this was his cupboard, my cupboard. This was inspiration. I saw this in a magazine and I had to have it. The high gloss black, the stage lighting all around the shoes, and you have to see this. The rods are lit from the inside to give it more depth, and you can see what you're putting on. And I had an old piece, an old chest of drawers that I loved. It's very wonky, but it works. It works really well. Come into the master bathroom. Now this is special for a condo. Nobody has bathroom this size. And that's another reason we love the space. We got his and hers sinks. We've got black marble frame around all the mirrors, both sides, and it goes all the way down to the floor. And bathtub right in the middle. We frosted the glass behind the tub for privacy because there's a building sort of close there, but you wouldn't be looking out the window anyway. And that's the shower, and that's the toilet room with the heated toilet that opens and welcomes you. I don't think I'll show you that. But some of my collections, my mother's dressing sets and perfume bottles, and a really old chair that I found at a flea market. The sconces are vintage torches, and that's a vintage Barovier fixture, which is an Italian crystal maker, probably from the 30s. We used to have, as I'm sure every city and town had, like tons of antique shops and people that would source stuff from Europe and bring it over. That's all over. The internet's the only way to shop nowadays. So I am forced when I work to do things that way. But we went to shops. The antique dealer was my best friend, and I would go in and, say, hi, how you doing? How's your mom? Because I've known him for so many years, and he'd be bringing stuff from Italy and from France twice a year. But now they've all closed down. Things changed. Sad. But I got the best of the stuff. This condo is very unique. Not only is the art featured, but there are details very subtly in the walls, the finishings, the floor coverings, which there are not too many, but the fabrics. It's all a tapestry of my life and all my possessions, and each piece has a little story. What home means to me is looking around and being so comfortable in every single room with every single object that you know you've had in your possession a short while, a long while, or forever, or handed down from generation to generation. That's what home means to me. Thanks so much for coming, Homeworthy. Thanks for coming to my condo in Toronto. I hope to see you again soon. Bye.